A pale purple dawn was about to break over the quiet residential neighborhood of Brookline, a suburb of Boston. Ellen Carter inserted her key into the front door of her home with exhausted steps. After finishing a 12-hour night shift, the long night in the pediatric ward had finally come to an end. When she opened the door, a small figure in pajamas came flying out. "Mommy, welcome home." 9-year-old Sophia ran toward her mother, her hair tousled from sleep. Ellen hid her fatigue and gently embraced her daughter. "Good morning, sweetheart. You're up early. I'll make you breakfast." As she headed to the kitchen, Ellen observed Sophia's condition. Recently, she had been feeling that shadows were creeping across her daughter's smile. The carefree brightness of before had faded, and sometimes her expressions showed a mature melancholy. She dropped butter into the frying pan and began preparing French toast. Sophia sat at the dining table, finishing the rest of her homework. Her violin case was propped up beside her chair. She had been practicing diligently every day for next month's school recital. "Is Daddy still sleeping?" Ellen asked, and Sophia shook her head. "No, he already left for work. He was late last night too, so he left early this morning." Ellen's hand paused for a moment. Life with her husband Robert had been increasingly strained over the past few months. He was steadily building his career as a senior analyst at a major investment firm, but family time was being sacrificed as the price of that success. How many times had Ellen heard his favorite phrase, "This is a crucial time for my career." "Do you think Daddy will come to the recital?" Sophia's small voice carried anxiety. "I'm sure he will. Daddy must be looking forward to your violin performance too." Even as she said this, Ellen's voice lacked conviction. Last month's parent conference, the sports day 3 months ago, Robert had missed them all, citing important meetings. After breakfast, while Sophia was getting ready for school, Ellen was tidying up the living room. Robert's black planner had been left forgotten on the coffee table. She would never normally pick it up, but a white slip of paper tucked inside fell to the floor. Ellen casually picked it up. It was a restaurant receipt. The Ritz-Carlton dinner for $450. The date was last Wednesday. That day, Robert had said he had an important client dinner and left home earlier than usual. Since Ellen was working a double shift at the hospital, she couldn't ask him about it in detail. "Mommy, I'm leaving." Sophia's cheerful voice brought Ellen back to reality. She hurriedly put the receipt back in the planner and saw her daughter off at the front door. "Be careful. Mommy has work this afternoon, so Daddy will pick you up." "Okay. Take care of yourself too, Mommy." Sophia went out the front door carrying her heavy backpack and holding her violin case. Watching her retreating figure, complex feelings stirred in Ellen's chest. Alone in the living room, Ellen sank deeply into the sofa. She reflected on Robert's recent changes. He had purchased several new suits and had started using expensive cologne that he never used before. And there were the increasing instances of overtime and client dinners. However, these were all just speculation. There was no proof. Suspecting might upset the balance of this family. Outside the window, a neighboring family was playing happily in their yard. The father was pushing his son on a swing while the mother watched with a smile. Ellen stood up and headed to the bedroom. It was time to change into her white scrubs for her afternoon shift. She looked at her face in the mirror. She had built a 12-year career as a nurse and was loved by her young patients. But what about her own family? "It's okay. I'm probably just overthinking," she murmured as if trying to convince herself, but the anxiety that had settled deep in her heart would not disappear. 3 months later, Ellen's suspicions had turned into certainty. It was on a rainy night. When Ellen came home from her night shift earlier than scheduled, she could hear Robert talking on the phone in the living room. The voice leaking through the door was clearly different from his usual work conversations. It's wonderful that we can meet again tonight. Ellen will never find out. Ellen's blood froze. She quietly closed the front door and killed time in her car for about an hour before coming home again. Robert had already showered and was acting as if nothing had happened. Over the following weeks, Ellen carefully gathered evidence. The credit card statements showed payments at luxury hotel restaurants and boutiques. The navigation history in his car recorded the address of a high-end apartment in the city. What was decisive was the handkerchief she found in his suit pocket that carried the scent of unfamiliar perfume. It was the scent of a young woman Ellen didn't know. His indifference toward the family was becoming more blatant by the day. He would talk loudly on the phone even while Sophia was practicing violin, and when his daughter spoke to him, he would respond absent-mindedly. Last month, on Sophia's birthday, he was away from home citing a sudden business trip. Ellen made her decision. She could not continue this false married life. However, what worried her most was Sophia. How could she explain this reality to her 9-year-old daughter? One quiet night, after Sophia had finished her homework and gone to her bedroom, Ellen resolved to confront Robert. He was sitting on the sofa with his laptop open, looking through some documents. "Robert, I need to talk to you. I'm busy now. Later. I can't wait any longer. I want a divorce." Robert's hand stopped. He slowly looked up and stared at Ellen. There was no expression of surprise, but rather a sneer appeared. "Well, you finally figured it out." Ellen was speechless at his reaction. There was no guilt, no words of apology. It was as if he had been expecting this day to come, with cold indifference. "Fine. I agree to the divorce. But I won't give up custody of Sophia." "What did you say?" Robert stood up and looked down at Ellen. "You're a nurse. Night shifts, weekend work, irregular lifestyle. Do you think that's a good environment for a 9-year-old child? I've been raising Sophia alone all this time. You've been focused only on work." "Work?" Robert laughed. "What do you mean by raising alone? Dumping her at daycare and taking care of other people's children at the hospital at night. Is that what a mother does?" Ellen tried to argue back, but Robert continued. "I earn $250,000 a year. How much do you make?" "About $60,000. Which one of us can provide a better life for Sophia is obvious, isn't it?" From that night on, a Cold War began between them. As divorce mediation preparations progressed, Robert was steadily arranging conditions in his favor. On the day of mediation, the atmosphere in the courtroom was clearly tilted in Robert's favor. The lawyer he hired, Mr. Harrison, was a famous skilled attorney in the industry. Meanwhile, Ellen could only afford a young lawyer referred by a legal aid organization. Mr. Carter's annual income is $250,000. On the other hand, Ellen's is $60,000. It's clear which can provide a better life for the child. Attorney Harrison stated confidently in court. The prepared materials included records of Robert's promotions, investment performance, and letters of recommendation showing his social status. Furthermore, Mr. Carter has already completed enrollment procedures at Winston Academy, a prestigious private school in Boston. The tuition is $40,000 per year. It's the highest standard educational environment. Ellen could see Sophia sitting in the gallery, looking at her with concern. In her daughter's hands was an old teddy bear that Ellen had given her for her 5th birthday. Ellen's lawyer attempted to argue back. Custody is not determined by economic power alone. Ellen has been solely responsible for Sophia's daily care. School pickups and drop-offs, nursing when sick, helping with homework, she has done it all. But what is this care? Harrison interrupted. Night shifts half the week. School event participation rate of only 30%. Last month, she missed Sophia's school concert citing an emergency surgery. Can this be called a devoted mother? Ellen's chest tightened. Indeed, that day there had been heart surgery for a 3-year-old boy. It was a life-threatening emergency. However, in court, such circumstances seemed trivial. In contrast, Mr. Carter plans to adopt a more flexible work system going forward. Remote work will also be possible, allowing him to prioritize time with Sophia. Robert stood up and began his statement with a confident expression. Your Honor, I love my daughter from the bottom of my heart. And I want to give her the best possible future. Ellen is also a wonderful mother. I acknowledge that. But look at reality. What opportunities can Sophia have with a nurse's salary? The atmosphere in the courtroom grew heavy. Ellen clenched her fists and held back tears. What I can provide Sophia is not just economic stability, Robert continued. At Winston Academy, she can receive individual violin instruction. The instructor is the first violinist of the Boston Symphony Orchestra. European music camps in summer, and Juilliard School of Music in the future are realistic options. Sighs leaked from the gallery. Ellen didn't have the economic power to provide such luxurious educational opportunities. Ellen is a wonderful woman. As a pediatric nurse, she is passionate about saving other people's children. I truly respect that. But ironically, her priority is clearly work. What about her own daughter? Ellen felt the urge to stand up but was restrained by her lawyer. I promise, Robert raised his voice. To prioritize Sophia above all else and provide an environment that maximizes her talent. I believe that is the responsibility of a truly loving father. The courtroom fell silent. Robert's words were logical and persuasive. Ellen was beginning to feel that her position was hopeless. When recess was called, Ellen hugged Sophia in the hallway. She could feel her daughter's small body trembling. I'm sorry, Mommy. That this is happening. It's not your fault. Absolutely not. But if I had been a better child. Don't say that, Ellen cupped her daughter's face with both hands. You're perfect. Mommy will protect you. Sophia started to say something and then stopped. There was a shadow in her expression as if she was hiding something. However, there was no time to pursue it now. The time to return to court was approaching. Robert was sitting with a confident expression. As if he was certain of victory. Ellen took a deep breath and returned to her seat. She couldn't lose her beloved daughter. This battle wasn't over yet. However, without some decisive evidence, she might be defeated. In such a desperate situation, Ellen noticed that Sophia was holding her teddy bear tightly. In her daughter's eyes, along with fear, there seemed to be something like strong determination. When court resumed, Judge O'Connor's expression was stern. She specialized in family law and had seen numerous custody battles, but she fully understood the complexity of this case. Now, let's hear the final statement from Mr. Carter's side. Robert stood up. His perfectly styled hair, expensive dark gray suit, confident smile. He looked around the courtroom with an attitude as if he was already certain of victory. Your Honor, and everyone in the courtroom. I love my daughter Sophia from the bottom of my heart. And I believe that giving her the best possible future is the most important duty as a father. He arranged the papers in his hand and continued with emotion in his voice. Ellen is certainly a good mother. There's no doubt about that. However, children cannot be raised on love alone. I want you to face reality. What opportunities can be provided to Sophia with a nurse's limited income? Robert presented the materials he had prepared to the judge. This is the official admission letter from Winston Academy. It's one of the most prestigious private schools in Boston. Here, she can receive high-quality education in small classes. And regarding Sophia's talent, violin, individual instruction is also possible. The gallery murmured. Ellen's heart was beating so hard it hurt. The instructor is Elizabeth Chin, first violinist of the Boston Symphony Orchestra. The opportunity to receive direct instruction from a world-famous performer is absolutely impossible to get in regular public schools. Robert looked around the courtroom and pressed further. Furthermore, participation in European international music camps is planned for this summer. She can interact with first-class musicians from Vienna, Paris, and London, expanding Sophia's perspective to a global scale. In the future, admission to Juilliard School of Music will become a realistic option. Ellen clenched her fists in frustration. It was impossible to provide such luxurious educational opportunities with a nurse's salary. This is the future I can provide to my beloved daughter. It's not just material wealth. It's true educational investment that maximizes life's possibilities. Robert's voice gradually became more passionate. On the other hand, let's look at Ellen's current life. She certainly works devotedly. But what is the object of that devotion? As a pediatric nurse, she is passionate about saving other people's children. That is certainly a respectable profession. But ironically, interest in her own daughter comes second. Ellen felt the urge to stand up but was strongly restrained by her lawyer. Last month, there was a concert at Sophia's school. It was an opportunity for our daughter to present the violin she had practiced so hard. However, Ellen didn't come. The reason was that there was emergency surgery at the hospital. Robert paused slightly and lowered his voice tone. Of course, saving people's lives is important. I don't intend to deny that. But what effect does continuously choosing work over family, time after time, have on a 9-year-old child? Objection. Ellen's lawyer stood up, but the judge calmly overruled. Overruled. Please continue, Mr. Carter. Robert nodded with satisfaction and spun the words that would be the final decisive blow. I solemnly swear here to make Sophia the top priority in my life and provide an environment that maximizes her talent and potential. I believe that is the responsibility of a truly loving father. The courtroom fell silent. Robert's statement was persuasive, logical, and above all, backed by economic support. Just as he was about to return to his seat, at that very moment. Wait! Suddenly, a child's scream echoed through the courtroom. Everyone turned around at once. Sophia was standing up, clutching her teddy bear tightly to her chest, trembling all over. Sophia! Ellen called out in surprise. Her daughter's face was wet with tears, but there was strong determination in her eyes. Daddy, there's something you haven't said. The entire courtroom fell silent as if frozen. You could see the color draining from Robert's face. What are you talking about? Robert's voice was trembling. I can't stay quiet anymore. Everyone should know what Daddy did. Sophia shouted through her tears, but in a clear voice. Judge O'Connor spoke in a gentle but authoritative voice. Sophia, calm down. Take a deep breath. Is there something you want to tell us? Sophia took several deep breaths and answered in a trembling voice. Yes, and I have evidence too. She held out the teddy bear she had been clutching to her chest toward the judge. It's been hidden inside, all this time. A court officer carefully received the teddy bear. The seam on the bear's back was partially open, and from inside came out a small SD card and a palm-sized voice recorder. Robert turned pale and nearly collapsed in his seat. His lawyer hurriedly supported him. Sophia, the judge continued. What is this? Why were you hiding it inside the teddy bear? Sophia wiped her tears and answered, summoning her courage. Daddy. I saw Daddy with that woman. And he made me keep quiet about it. The courtroom buzzed. The judge banged her gavel. Silence. Sophia, continue. 3 months ago at night, on a day when Mommy was working the night shift, Daddy put me to bed early and went out. But my stomach hurt and I woke up. Sophia's voice became small, but her determination didn't waver. When I went looking for Daddy, he was talking to someone on the phone in the living room. He said, "We can meet again tonight and Ellen won't find out." Ellen stared at her daughter. To think that Sophia had been carrying such a heavy secret alone. I was scared, but I wanted to protect Mommy, so I decided to gather evidence. A technical officer inserted the SD card into a computer and checked its contents. Your Honor, multiple image files and audio files can be confirmed. Please play them. The first image was displayed on the courtroom's large screen. It showed Robert intimately close to a young woman at a luxury restaurant. This is... Ellen gasped. Seeing the woman, Ellen was shocked. Natalie Bennett. Robert's subordinate, a capable analyst still in her early 30s. This photo is from 2 months ago, Sophia explained. Daddy said it was a work meeting, but... The next image was displayed. The two holding hands in a hotel lobby. And a photo of them getting into an elevator together. Then, a decisive audio file was played. Sophia, this is an adult secret. You must never tell anyone. Robert's voice echoed through the courtroom. But Daddy, lying to Mommy is wrong, isn't it? Listen, if you tell anyone about this, think that your future is over. You won't even be able to go to college. Young Sophia's trembling voice continued. Daddy, I'm scared. There's nothing to be afraid of. If you're a good girl, I'll buy you a new violin. I'll take you to Europe too. But if you say even one word, you understand, don't you? The courtroom was dead silent. Ellen couldn't stop crying. To think that her 9-year-old daughter had been carrying such a heavy secret and threats alone. Sophia continued in a trembling voice. Daddy acted like a kind father in public. But when Mommy wasn't there, he was a completely different person. He told me, "You are my investment and you'll raise my reputation with your talent." Robert tried to stand up but his legs were unsteady and he sat back down. But today, when I heard Daddy saying bad things about Mommy in court, I couldn't stand it anymore. Sophia wiped her tears and looked straight at the judge. Mommy is certainly busy. But she thinks of me first. When I'm sick, she stays up all night taking care of me, and she listens to my violin practice every day. Daddy only thinks of me as an investment, but Mommy loves me as her daughter. The courtroom became chaotic. Surprised voices rose from the gallery, and the sound of reporters taking notes echoed. A large monitor was brought to the front of the courtroom, and technical staff began carefully examining the contents of the SD card. Ellen looked at her daughter in disbelief. Sophia, you did all this by yourself. The judge spoke in a gentle but resolute voice. Sophia, could you come to the witness stand? Don't worry, there's no need to be afraid. Telling the truth is something that takes great courage. Sophia walked to the witness stand with small steps. Even when she put her hands on the railing, she was still too short, and the microphone needed to be adjusted. First, how did you gather this evidence? The judge asked. I used the kid's camera I got for Christmas last year. Sophia's voice was trembling but clear. Daddy bought it for me. Ironic, isn't it? At those words, Robert showed an expression of anguish. The technical officer reported. Your Honor, 12 images and approximately 3 hours of audio files can be confirmed on the SD card. The dates span the past 3 months. Please display the first image. The photograph displayed on the screen caused the entire courtroom to stir. It showed Robert and a young woman intimately close at the luxury French restaurant, Le Bernardin. The woman's hand was entwined around Robert's arm, and the two were gazing at each other like lovers. This is a photo from 2 months ago, Sophia explained. Daddy said it was a dinner with an important client. But I took a taxi with my allowance money and secretly went to see. Ellen's chest tightened. Her 9-year-old daughter had done such a dangerous thing alone. The next image was displayed. Robert kissing the same woman in front of a luxury apartment in Beacon Hill. Natalie Bennett. Ellen murmured softly. She was Robert's subordinate, a capable woman with an MBA from Harvard University. She was 3 years younger than Ellen and single. "Do you know this woman, Mrs. Ellen?" the judge asked. "Yes. She's my husband's subordinate. She's come to our house several times." Then, the decisive audio file was played. "Natalie, when I'm with you, I can be my true self." Robert's voice echoed through the courtroom. "Robert, but I feel sorry for Sophia. That child hasn't been herself lately." It was the young woman's voice, Natalie's. "That child is my investment for the future. She has musical talent, so she'll enhance my social status in the future. A mediocre mother like Ellen would destroy Sophia's potential." The courtroom buzzed. Ellen was stunned. To think her husband saw their daughter that way. The audio continued. "But if we get caught?" "There's no way we'll get caught. Ellen is absorbed in work and can't see what's happening at home. And I'll make sure Sophia never opens her mouth." "How?" "Fear. Children can be controlled with fear. If you threaten to take away future opportunities, they'll do whatever you say." Ellen couldn't stop crying. Just imagining how terrified her daughter must have been made her feel like her heart would break. "Please play the next audio file," the judge instructed. This time, it was a recording of Robert threatening Sophia. "Listen, Sophia. You must never tell anyone about what you saw. But Daddy, lying to Mommy is. Listen." Robert's voice turned into a shout. "If you say even one word about this, your music studies end there. I'll take away your violin too. I won't let you go to college. You'll live in poverty for the rest of your life." Sophia's crying could be heard. "Daddy, I'm scared." "There's no need to be afraid. If you're a good girl, everything will work out. I'll buy you a new violin and take you to Europe. But if you betray me, you understand, don't you?" The courtroom was completely silent. It was such cruel intimidation of a 9-year-old child. Suddenly, the courtroom door opened. Natalie Bennett entered. Her face was wet with tears and she was clearly upset. "I'm sorry, Your Honor. Please let me testify too." Robert stood up. "Natalie, what are you doing? Don't come." "Let's stop lying, Robert," Natalie answered resolutely. The judge called her to the witness stand. "I had an inappropriate relationship with Robert Carter," Natalie began her testimony in a trembling voice. "At first, I was just receiving work guidance. However, it gradually became a personal relationship." She took a deep breath before continuing. "He called his wife Ellen a career hindrance. And he referred to Sophia as an investment for the future. He was trying to use his daughter's musical talent to enhance his own social status." The courtroom buzzed. "One night, I heard that Sophia had seen our relationship." Robert's reaction at that time was. Natalie choked on her words. It was too cold-hearted. He threatened a 9-year-old child and tried to silence her with fear. "Enough!" Robert shouted. "Don't tell lies." However, Natalie continued. "I came to my senses. No matter how much I tried to justify myself, I was participating in destroying someone's family and hurting an innocent child." She turned to face Ellen. "Ellen, I'm truly sorry. For destroying your family. You are a wonderful mother. No matter how contemptuously Robert spoke about you, I could see that Sophia deeply loves you." And finally, she looked at Sophia. "Sophia, I'm truly grateful for your courage. If you hadn't revealed the truth, I would have continued this mistake for the rest of my life. You really are a strong child. Judge O'Connor spoke with a solemn expression. After comprehensively considering this evidence and testimony, the court makes the following judgment. The courtroom fell silent. Robert Carter's threatening behavior toward a child and his dishonest acts toward his family seriously impair his suitability as a custodial parent. Robert turned pale and clung to his chair. Full custody of Sophia Carter is awarded to her mother, Ellen Carter. Ellen collapsed in tears of relief. Furthermore, Robert Carter is permitted only monthly supervised visits with a professional counselor. Also, 6 months of psychological counseling is ordered regarding his threatening behavior toward the child. Robert hung his head and couldn't say a word. His lawyer also understood that there was no room for argument in this development. When court ended, Ellen rushed to Sophia. Mother and daughter embraced tightly and cried. "I'm sorry, Mommy, that this happened. Don't apologize. You were truly brave, carrying such a heavy secret alone. But I wanted to protect Mommy. When I heard Daddy saying bad things about you, I couldn't stand it anymore." The two cried and held each other tightly. The long battle was finally over. 3 months after the verdict, Ellen and Sophia were living a new life in a small 2-story apartment in Brookline. Though modest compared to their previous luxurious house, for the two of them it was an irreplaceable home. A space filled with genuine, true love. In the living room, Sophia's violin was carefully placed. Last week, she had won the gold award at a regional competition. The certificate was proudly displayed on top of the piano. "Mommy, look." When Sophia came home from school, she ran to Ellen excitedly. She was holding new sheet music. "The music teacher is recommending me for next month's state competition." "That's wonderful." Ellen hugged her daughter. "Your hard work has paid off." Though she could no longer receive expensive private instruction, Sophia's passion for music hadn't diminished at all. Rather, freed from pressure, she had come to enjoy music purely. In the evening, the doorbell rang. It was the monthly visit day. When Ellen opened the door, Robert was standing there. He had lost weight like a different person from 3 months ago, and deep regret colored his eyes. Perhaps due to the effects of continuing counseling, his former arrogance had receded. "Hello, Ellen. I came to see Sophia." "Hello, Robert," Ellen answered calmly. "Sophia, your father is here." Sophia came out from the living room. She had been frightened during the first visit, but now she could face her father calmly. "Hello, Daddy." "Sophia." Robert's voice was trembling. "Thank you for making time again today." The three of them went to a nearby park. The supervising counselor, Mr. Miller, was watching from a short distance away. They sat on a bench and silence continued for a while. "Sophia, I heard you won the gold award at the competition," Robert spoke up. "Congratulations. Your performances were always wonderful." "Thank you, Daddy." "I was really wrong." Robert held out an envelope with trembling hands. "This is a letter for you. You don't have to read it right now. Someday, if the day comes when you can forgive me, I'd like you to read it." Sophia received the envelope and held it carefully. "Daddy, how is counseling?" "It's hard, but I understand it's necessary. What I did to you, what I did to Mommy, it was all wrong. Family isn't property. They're people you love." Robert continued while wiping tears. "Your musical talent wasn't for my success either. It was for your own joy and growth. It took me too long to understand that." Meanwhile, letters from Natalie arrived regularly. She had left Boston and started a new life in Chicago. Her latest letter read, "Dear Ellen, I've started studying child psychology. I want to work in creating environments where children can grow up safely. Sophia's courage changed my life. I'm truly grateful. At night, before Sophia went to bed, mother and daughter talked as they always did. "Mommy, what do you think family is?" Ellen thought for a moment and answered. "It's not a big house, money, or impressive titles. It's being able to trust each other, respect each other, and not lying to each other." Sophia continued. "That's right. A relationship where you can share the truth." Sophia smiled. "Then we're a real family now." "Yes, a real family." Outside the window, the city of Boston was quietly going to sleep. In a small apartment room, mother and daughter felt each other's warmth while waiting for a tomorrow filled with hope. A few months later, Ellen decided to obtain additional qualifications as a social worker at the hospital. She wanted to become more deeply involved with family problems she encountered in the medical field. Sophia was also deepening her connections with children her age through music. Family is not about blood relations, wealth, or social status. It is an irreplaceable bond tied together by truth and love through any difficult times. Mother and daughter had learned this true meaning through experience and had begun walking their new life.